Om Ganana Tva Ganapatim Havamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrunvannutibhisida Sadanam Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Ebhirvajini Ivati Dhinama Vitriyavatu Om Shri Vagdevyai Namaha Vande Guru Padadvanvamavang Manasagocharam Rakta Shukla Prabha Mishra Matarkyam Traipuram Maha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Okay, we'll start 577. Can somebody chant the shloka, please?
Which shloka is that? I have the number of the namam, but not the shloka number.
It's a good point. I haven't checked that.
It's 116, right?
Yeah, my thread was 116.
I can chant.
Yeah, go ahead, Satish.
Para Shakti Para Nishta Prajna Narupini Madhvipanala Samatta Matrika Varnarupini.
So, Matrika Varnarupini. So, there are many meanings to this. So, we've discussed Matrikas in detail, as Anitaji was just saying. I would say when we have Aksharamala, the primary thing we need to note is Aksharamala are to Ksha. We've understood why they are described like, when we think about any other language, like, your English alphabet, for example, A to Z, there is no particular reason why one comes after the other. Vowels are all embedded in between, consonants, and then there are two different things that sound exactly the same, etc. But these are matrikas, or aksharamala is quite scientific. We've talked about that. So there are some that actually come, like the sound comes from the bottom of the throat. There's some that come from here. And there are some that called as dantavyas. We touch the teeth at the back. There are some talavyas. There are some oshtavyas, which means we need to close our lips, etc. So there are anunasikas. The sound comes, because there's some of that travels through the nose, etc. So all the sibilants are in one place. It's quite organized. It's very well organized. There is a whole 45 minutes that I could just speak about how organized the structure is and the matrikas, and even just about talking about matrikas will take me forever. So we'll try to condense this into a few pieces, and we'll take time here. What I would say is, okay, before I say that, Aksharamala is A, I, E, etc. to Ksha. But as soon as you add a bindu to each of those characters, then it becomes a matrika or a bijakshara. There is a little slight difference between matrika and a bijakshara. But bijaksharam is when you are invoking a form of Devi into it, that becomes bijaksharam. When you are doing just bindu, anunasika to a particular, every alphabet, then that becomes the matrika. So im, rum, rum, etc. So matrika varnarupini. So the actual source of these alphabet for us comes from the Maheshwara Sutras by Panini. So Panini's grammar starts with talking about Maheshwara Sutras. So he actually introduces the Maheshwara Sutras with a beautiful shloka. Nrittavasane Natarajanajo Nanada Dakham Navapanchavaram. So where in the cosmic dance that Nataraja was doing when this, the whole universe was created in its manifested form, he rang his damaru 14 times, Navapanchavaram. Okay, and out of those 14 sounds came the alphabet, and those are sutras. So I'll just share my screen. I have a picture of the sutras. So they start with Ayuna Ruluk Ayong Ayouch. Here. So these are called as the 14 sutras. So Ayuna Ruluk Ayong Ayouch Hayavarat Lana Nyamangana Nama Hala Ashashasar Kapaya Kapachatata Chatatava Jabagadash Gadadash Jamaya. Actually, it should be changed. Sorry, I read it in a different way. Sorry, apologies. So it will Nyamangana Nama Jabai Gadadash. So it's not written in the right order. So it starts from Ayuna Nyamangana Nama Jamai Gadadash Jabagadash Kapachatata Kapai Shashasar and Hal. So that's how it ends. So A E U R R is one set. A O. Ignore the last character that you're seeing here. Ignore it. So that goes into grammar, so I won't get into it. But essentially, A E U R R A O I O, and then Hayavarat La Nyamangananama, all the Anunasikas, Jabhai, so Ja to Bha, Ghadadash. So that's how the Matrikas have originated from the cosmic dance that Nataraja did when the universe was created. And from the sound of the Damaru came these Matrikas, is how that beautiful shloka comes up. So even chanting these sutras every morning is actually remembering Bhagwan in his cosmic form. So if anybody wants to Google this, it's called as the Maheshwara Sutras by Panini, or just Maheshwara Sutras would be good enough for Google to find you the right set. So all his grammar rules are dependent on these 14 sutras. He says this rule applies to this sutra. I would, for example, Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. He gives a rule for Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. He talks about the first rule, Ayu. So anything, just from Jabain and Gadadash. So all the sutras are just kind of very beautifully laid out, and everybody knows it is the most complex and most exhaustive grammar rules and grammar list that is available for any language is Panini's Vyakarana. Anyways, moving back to Matrikas. So Matrika Varna Rupini. We say that even if you didn't have any mantra dikshas, any bijaksharas and all of that, we've all been taught matrikas or alphabet in our childhood. Even chanting that every morning, once from A to Ksha and in reverse order Ksha to A, every morning will give you the benefit of exercising your entire mouth apparatus, as well as it just activates a lot of energies. And we did talk about where these matrikas are embedded within our chakras. We did talk about the chakras, the adhara, the chakram, and the petals that are surrounding the adhara and the chakra. Each petal, there is a presiding deity that starts with the alphabet. So for example, we start from the Vishuddhi, Vishuddhi chakra. So we start from Vishuddhi chakra, and we said Amritaya Namaha, Akarshinya Namaha, Indiraya Namaha, so you would just go around to activate those petals. So even if we did not know all of this, we were taught for our spiritual elevation, even in kindergarten, by teaching us the alphabet. Even the basics, even if we get back to our basics, what we were taught on day one is our swaras, the vowels, and even those are praying to the mother. So even if we chanted that, they say that's good enough sadhana if you know exactly the right pronunciation on how to chant it. Actually, now moving to what Bhaskararaya has given as the meanings for this Matrika Varna Rupini. There are 6 meanings that are given. So first is Matrika Varnas. Each of those Matrika sets have colors. So Varnam means color. So Varna means also a letter. So first meaning that he has given, and he quotes Sanat Kumara Samhita for this. And so the Matrika Varnas are the colors for each of those, and she is the Rupam of all of those colors. So if anybody is interested, the colors that are described in the Sanat Kumara Samhita are A to Aha is Dhumra Varna or smoke colored or grayish. Ka to Tha is dark red. Da to Pha is white. Ba to Ra is light red. La to Sa is golden. And Ha to Ksha or Ha Ksha, 2 letters, are the color of the lightning, he says. Or there is another description in a different Samhita. This is a little easier to remember. A to Aha is Phatika Varnam. Ka to Ma is the color of Vidruma. Vidruma means coral. And Ya to La is yellow. And Ksha alone is crimson. So if you see the second set of varnas that I was describing about, and you have attended the Khadgamala and the Sri Chakra Meru construction through Khadgamala, that class, so you would remember that the Bhupuram or the external square that is on a Sri Chakram, though it has 3 lines, and the 3 lines are red, yellow, and white. So, and there's a black, red, yellow, black, red, white. So three different, like, depending on what sampradaya you follow, it would be black, red, white, or black, red, yellow, or red, yellow, white. So essentially they mean sattva, the rajas, tamas, and tamas, rajas, and sattva in that order. So you would notice something like this in these varnas as well. So A to Aha is Phatika Varnam, and Ka to Ma is Vidruma Varnam, Ya to La is yellow, and Ksha is crimson. So all these are the Swarupam of the mother are these Varnas, is what he describes it as. Moving to the second meaning for this. So the 50 aksharas, if you include a La, it will be the 51 aksharas. Those are all her Swarupam. And that's where we were talking about if you remember, the Yogini Nyasam that we did. So the Amrita, Krishni, Indra, Indrani, etc. So all of those are those Swarupas of the mother. Moving to the third meaning, she is manifestable through the Matrikas. So Matrika Varna Rupini, you can create a form, you can manifest her through these Matrikas. That's why they say even chant, like, even not even chant, read A to Ksha every morning and Ksha to A. So you can manifest mother in all the forms. And then she is Akshamala Swarupa. So 2 different ways to look at Akshamala. Akshamala can be your Japamala, but there is also a Samputi Karana that is done with Matrika Samputi Karana, it is what it is called. For example, you're doing, say, any Japam. You're doing Om Namah Shivaya, for example. And with Matrikas, you do Samputi Karanam. Samputi Karanam is, we did talk about it, I think, I don't know. So it's opening and closing brackets, essentially.
You
So,
did explain about it, Shriji. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we start with the A or Om Namah Shivaya, Am, Om Namah Shivaya, Am, Im, Om Namah Shivaya, Im, Im. So like that, you just do all the way till the end to Ksha and all the way back to A. And after that, you do from A to Aha. So so Amam, Imi, Om, Rum, 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 Imam, Om, Aha, Om Namah Shivaya, and then do the Am to Aha again. So that's how, like, there are 8 lines in Matrikas. You can call it 7, but they divide Yara, Lava into one section and the rest of them into the second section within the last set. So in that sense, you would get 8. So with these 8, you do so if you went from R to Ksha, you do 50, Ksha to A, you do 50, and with these individual lines, there are 8 lines, then you get to your 108 of japa. They say if you do this Matrika Samputikaranam, you actually do your japam 10 times more, or it is considered as 10 times more japam. So if you did 108, then it will become 1080. So this is given by the gurus in serious cases when there is, we call that Purascharana. So we need to attain a certain number of japam counts to get to a mantra siddhi of a particular mantra. For example, we call it the Akshara Laksha. Let's take Narayana Ashtakshari, for example. So there are 8 letters in Narayana Ashtakshari. So in order to get the mantra siddhi of that particular nama, you need to do 8 lakh times of that japam. So if somebody was just very lagging behind on the japa count, then a special initiation is given by the guru, etc. So they can do Samputi Karana, and they can actually do 10 times. So they don't have to do 8 lakh times or whatever is the remaining count. They can do 80,000 times, and it constitutes as 8 lakhs. And there are more to the Purascharana, like Homam, Bhojanam, Prokshanam, Marjanam, etc. But generally speaking, what it says is it is a lot more effective by doing the Akshamala Japam. This is called as the Akshamala Japam or Aksharamala Japam, by doing the Samputi Karanam and doing the. So she is the Rupam of that Aksharamala or Akshamala. Matrika Varna, she is the one who created the Matrikas. So through her, we were just talking about the Maheshwara Sutras, through his Shakti has created those Matrikas. So she is the one who created them. And the next one is, it says, Kailasa Prastara is her is her abode. He's actually moving into the next nama, which is Maha Kailasa Nilaya. So even he brings Maha Kailasam is also. So when we talk about Sahasrara, so when if you remember Yogini Nyasam correctly, or if you're doing the practice of Yogini Nyasam, we said, A to Aha is in the Vishuddhi Chakra, Ka to Ta, no, Ta is Vishuddhi, and then etc. So we just went through all the chakras from Vishuddhi to Mooladhara, and then came back to Ajna, then went to Sahasrara. Sahasrara, we said R to Ksha, all the alphabet are in the Sahasrara chakra. Kailasa Prastharam is Sahasrara chakra. So that's why he's trying to add that to here and trying to connect the dots for us. The next nama is Maha Kailasa Nilaya. That Maha Kailasam is nowhere but our own Sahasrara chakra, where all the matrikas are embedded into that Maha Kailasam. So she is the Swarupam of the Maha Kailasa Prastharam. Therefore, she is called as the Matrika Varnarupini. I hope that's clear. Moving to the next shloka, 117. Maha Kailasa Nilaya Mrunala Mrududorlata Mahaniya Dayamurtihi Mahasamrajya Shalini. So it is rare that you get a Visarga in Lalita Sahasram in general, and that Visarga happening in the middle of a sentence is rarer. So we are getting an opportunity here. Daya Murtihi, Murti is a masculine nama. So Daya Murtihi is Visarga, and Visarga followed by Ma will generate a Repha or Rakara in between the two. So when we are chanting, we'll have to say Daya Murtir Mahasamrajya Shalini.
Shriji, in my book, this shloka is numbered as 117.
I thought that's what I said. Did I not?
No,
It's
no.
117.
I wrote down 18. Okay, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, it's 117. Okay.
Sorry.
Maha Kailasa Nilaya Mrunala Mrududorlata Mahaniya Daya Murtir Mahasamrajya Shalini. Maha Kailasa Nilaya Mrunala Mrududorlata Mahaniya Daya Murtir Mahasamrajya Shalini. Anybody want to chant this once, please?
I can.
Please go ahead, Taraji.
Maha Kailasa Nilaya Mrunala Mruduthorlata Mahaniya Daya Murtir Mahasamrajya Shalini.
Awesome. So Maha Kailasa Nilaya is the first nama. So, okay, I should probably mention how many namas there are. First one has 3, second line has 3 namas. So Maha Kailasa Nilaya has 3 meanings that are given. So one whose abode is Maha Kailasam is the first one, pretty straightforward. Kailasa Prastaram is her abode. Kailasam, Maha Kailasam is one thing, and we know that whatever Kailasa mountain we know of is Shiva Swarupam, but it is not the Maha Kailasam that is being mentioned here. Maha Kailasam is the center of the entire universe from where the universe has emerged. You can constitute it to be the central black hole of the entire universe. There are many black holes, but whatever axle through which or from where the entire universe keeps rotating and circulating and expanding and contracting, that is called as Maha Kailasam. So that is the first one. So that's the Nilayam for mother. Kailasa Prastaram is the area above the Bindu in our Sri Chakra or in our Meru. In a Meru, you would see that the Bindu is not just a dot. Bindu is just shown as like a Shivalingam. So even in the Bindu, you're seeing like, there is a height to the Bindu. It is not a dot, like, you're seeing in a two-dimensional format. If you see a 3 dimensions Meru, you see a Shivalingam on top of it. The top of that Shivalingam is called as the Maha Kailasa Prastaram, and the one who lives in that Kailasa Prastaram is mother herself. So in this Bindu, where we were talking about the Shivalinga form, there are many more Devis, so that are not mentioned in the Khadgamala. So the Khadgamala, if you're doing the Khadgamala puja and doing the we have plotted the Devis on the Khadgamala, on the Sri Chakram through Khadgamala. So we reach the 9th where we say it is like the mother Lalita Ambika. But when we do Navavarana puja, we finish with the 9th avarana, then we do what's called as like the Pancha Panchika, Shadadhara, Shadanga Vidyas, etc. So there are many more Devis that fall within that Bindu or within that Shivalingam, and there is a pyramid that is given there as well in order to show like, there are points that are pointed out there. So if you are aiming to get into Sri Vidya, the gurus will explain that. But what I'm just trying to say is, she is above all of that, and she lives on the the Kailasa Prastaram. And the third one is, we are mother's form ourselves because she is our Shakti. So she lives within us, and the one like Sahasrara on top of the Sahasrara, that's where she lives, is what they say, that Sahasraram is her Nivasam. Therefore, she is Maha Kailasa Nilaya. Any questions, any thoughts about these 2 namas? Can we move forward?
Sriji, are you going to give, sorry.
Go ahead, Bharat.
Sorry. Are you going to give us a recording of this? I want to hear this again.
I think I am recording this. Am I recording it?
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
I am recording. Yeah. I'll send it.
Quick question, Sriji.
Okay, great.
On the colors, which letters are light red and golden yellow? And the last 3, can you give me?
So are you talking about the first set or the second
Yeah,
set?
the first set.
First set. Okay. A to Aha is Dhumravarnam.
Mm-hmm.
Ka to Tha, the second Tha, is dark red. Da to Pha, second Pha, is white. Ba to Ra is light red. La to Sa is golden. Ha to Ksha is lightning.
Thank you.
Ha and Ksha. In this particular Sanat Kumara Samhita, La is not taken into account.
Thank you.
Okay. So next nama, 579, Brunala Mrududorlata. And a beautiful sentence, the way Bhaskararaya explains it is amazing. Brunalam bisatantuhu tatvad mrutyaha dorlata yasya. So is how he explains it. So so we did talk about Bisatantu Taniyasi in the 40th shloka. So I remember the 40th shloka very clearly because that's where the first significant part, if you're doing only few shlokas of Lalita Sahasranamam, I said absolutely chant from 1 to 40. Okay, so don't try to break anywhere in between. So that set ends with the nama Bisatantu Taniyasi. And we said at that time that she is as slender as the stalk, like the central string in the stalk of the lotus. So this is, when they try to explain the thinness of the Kundalini when she's traveling through the spinal cord, through the Sushumna, she is 1,000th less than the hair follicle, or this Bisatantu Taniyasi means, like, they're trying to explain us to how slender, like, it's not like a short of like a tube light that's going up. It's a string, very thin, slender string. So Mrinala Mridudorlata is talking about Dorlata means, arms. So let me just use the same exact terms that have been used here. Her creeper-like arms are soft as the lotus stem. So Mrinalam Bisatantuhu Tadvad Mrudvyaha Dorlataha Yasyaha. So on one hand, they are describing the Vagdevis are describing how slender and how mridu and how soft and the physical description of mother's arms. And they're also giving the so the same word, that the Besutantu is how Bhaskararaya is trying to take us back to where we are talking about Kundalini and how slender she is and how mridu she is. So people expect, like, harsh experiences and things like that, but she's the most slenderest and softest. No further description is given for that. So moving to the next nama, 580, Mahaniya. So Maha, anytime when we see Maha, she is the highest form of, what you should say. Mahaniya means the greatest of all the people that need to be worshipped. So illustrious is how it is explained by Ananta Krishna Shastri ji, but she deserves the highest kind of respects, therefore Mahaniya. Daya Murtihi, so Daya is her Swarupam. So if you look at mother's nature, so there is the Nirguna natures that we talked about, Nirguna, Nishkala, Shanta, Nishkama, Nirpaplava, so that whole set of from 41 onwards, not the Shatodri, I think 42 or so shlokas. We have seen a set of, like, some 6 to 8 shlokas that just purely talk about the Nirguna Brahman and the qualities of a Nirguna Brahman. And then we have the physical descriptions of the mother, like the one that we were just talking about, the Mrunal Mududolata. But there are the characteristic attributes that are also given for us to follow that mother has. She's a Shanta Swarupa, and she's a Daya Swarupam. She is Mandahasa. There are quite a few nice descriptions that are given. I would encourage you to just look at any one of these, and for a day, just try to express that same, if not at the absolute measure, to the degree that you can relatively, how much Daya, for example, if you want to just take up Daya Murtihi, today I am going to manifest what mother does. I have a relative measure of that, and I am going to show it, express it to everybody around me. And today I'm going to be a Daya Murti. So what are all the things that you would do when you're speaking to your family members? You're just going outside, see somebody, you need to help. What is that Daya, Bhuta Daya, Daya on Vrikshas, Daya on Kitakas? So how do you express that and have an appreciation of that kind of quality? Because it's not very easy to do. It's easy said than done. So these are kind of one of those kind of qualities that we need to express and learn from, or relative measure, we have to improve ourselves to get better and to get closer to the mother. So one of the homeworks that would be given usually is like when you're going through Lalita Sahasranamam, segregate the namas into multiple different kinds. What is a Saguna Swarupam? What is a Nirguna Swarupam? What's like, talks about the mother's colors, how many colors have been given to explain her, and what are these characteristics that have been given. So even if we just extract it, so if you remember from Vishnu Sahasranam, we said all the Atma namas, Paramatma, Jnanatma, etc. So we've done the Atma namas. Now try to extract the qualities and see which ones you want to, you can rate yourself on it and say, I think I'm a 3 out of 5 in Daya, so I want to get to a 4. So pick one and try to do that for a single day and move to the next quality. So try to do that over the Dasara holidays, or not holidays, the Dasara days, the Navaratris, and try 9 or 10 different qualities and see how you feel after that. Moving to the next Nama, 582, Mahasam.
Gigi,
Go ahead, Bharat.
one question.
Sure.
When you have attributes described with a particular name like Dayamurti, that is then that becomes Saguna Rupa, right?
It's not Sagunam. Sagunam is the physical attributes, like the Murti Swarupam of the mother. She is wearing a red sari, her cheeks are like the corals, and her lips are like the corals, etc. Her cheeks are like rubies. Then you are trying to explain the physical form of the mother. This is her characteristics, her values.
So that's not gunas.
That's gunas, like that's characteristic, but not saguna.
Okay. So although they are gunas, they are not considered to be
Yeah,
saguna.
correct. So they are like, the physical attributes versus the mental attributes versus the nirgunam, which is beyond all of this.
Right. So Dayamurti does not become nirguna then.
She's not, yeah, Dayamurti is not nirguna. It is somewhere in between, not the physical swarupam, but the mental swarupam of the mother, if you want to put it that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Mahasamrajyashalini. So, her Mahasamrajyam, sorry, I have my notes in Telugu, so I was trying to translate that into English. So, Maha Kailasa is where she resides, and that is her Mahasamrajyam, and she rules the entire universe through or from that place. Mahasamrajya Shalini is how it is explained. And they also call it the Sahasradipatyamu, or the Sahasrara. She has the Adhipatyam on the Sahasrara. She is dormant as Kundalini in the Mooladhara, and she's the most active and most prominent and illustrious Mahaniya when she moves to the Sahasrara. And only a few people, as we know, get to that stage. But we all travel in between, anywhere from Mooladhara to Ajna. Moving to the next shloka. Atma Vidya, Mahavidya, Sri Vidya, Kamasevita, Sri Shodashakshari Vidya, Trikuta, Kamakotika. So 7 namas there. So, okay. I don't think I need to explain the Atma Vidya. So I'll just say that Atma Vidya is the spiritual knowledge of the self realization. And we have been talking about this through various forms, from Bhagavad Gita or from Upanishads or all the Lalita Sahasranam, Vishnu Sahasranamam. All our scriptures try to get us, even if we think about Ayurveda or Dhanurveda, everything tries to bring it back to, even with the external knowledge or knowledge of the externalities, it still tries to push us towards the antaryagam that is required to bring us inwards and understand ourselves. It's not just objective knowledge, it's subjective knowledge. That is Atma Vidya. But there is an Atmashtakshara mantra. So I will not get into that. It's an 8-syllabled mantra. And when we go into Shodashakshari, I'll mention there as well. Usually Shodashi is like, there are various forms of the mantra. So there is the Lagu Shodashi, Maha Shodashi, Para Shodashi, and the highest form in the Shodashakshari is Para Shodashi with the Atma Bijam is what they say. So there are based on the Rashis, based on the Nakshatra that the sadhaka is born, based on the sadhana that they are doing, based on where they are at, what qualities do they show, and things like that. And Atma Bijam is defined by the Guru, and the Para Shodashi is given with an Atma Bijam. Anyway, that becomes part of their Atma Vidya. So Atma Vidya has these two kind of meanings. Essentially, Atma Vidya means knowledge of the self. Mahavidya. So yeah, I'm not going to Durga Saptashati description here, but Mahavidya means because she removes all sorrows is how Bhaskararaya explains, but Maha means we have always known the Paravidya or Mahavidya. These terms are used to define the highest kind of anything. So here we are talking about Vidya. So this is the highest Vidya. And what is the highest Vidya is, so when in this sentence, you can consider that Sri Vidya is being given adjectives. The adjectives are Atma Vidya and Mahavidya and Sri Vidya. Sri Vidya is the science, sacred science, science of the mother, auspicious Vidya. You can put all the Shri related meanings that we have taken from Sri Mata. So all of that applies here. So Sri Vidya is given to, or the Panchadashi mantra is how you can explain it as well. So the exalted science, the secret science, the rahasya, the spiritual science, etc., all of that. So this Trai Vidya, Atma Vidya, Mahavidya, Sri Vidya is the mother, the form of mother. We've described this in the past of 10 different sadhakas that have given various forms of the Sri Vidya. We said Hadi Vidya, Kadi Vidya, Lopamudra, Manmatha, Chandra, Agastya, even Durvasa. These are all the primary sadhakas that have given various mantras. We talked about that, so I'm not going to get into it now. Please refer back to your notes. This came up when we were talking about Panchadashi during the first shlokas, before the 40 shlokas were completed. We were talking about Vagbhava, Kutam, etc. Moving to the 587th Nama, Sri Shodashakshari Vidya. So it is a 16 syllabled mantra is how it is explained. But you can say that there are various levels of Shodashi as well. So even in Panchadashi, there is the Panchadashi mantram and there is a Saubhagya Panchadashi that is given with the Bala mantra combined together, kind of. In Shodashakshari, there is the Lagu Shodashi that has 16 syllables. But as you go into Maha Shodashi level, so there are a lot more syllables in it, but an entire kutam is taken as one syllable. Therefore, it becomes 16 syllables in that sense. So that's why it's called Shodashakshari. In Para Shodashi, again, there is more that adds to it. And with an Atma Bijam embedded into it, it still constitutes like, I think some 32. Yeah, 35 actual syllables, but it constitutes as 16 because of the entire set of syllables is considered as one syllable. So this is the Shodashakshari Vidya. And depending on kind of like, with which parampara, which guru you're studying under, many gurus only teach till or give Diksha till Panchadashi. And they say from here on, mother will give, when you are ready for it, she will give you all the others. But some other gurus, they take charge of providing Dikshas for the entire set all the way till the Atma Bijam or the even the Mahavakyas also are given as a Diksha. The Mahavakyas we all know. So ultimately, all of this is supposed to, again, talking about Sri Vidya in general. And there are Vidyas for every Bhagavan in any Bhagavad Swarupam. And I don't know if I mentioned this ever before. If you go to a temple called as Annavaram Satyanarayana Swami Temple, it's in Andhra. So in that temple, you actually see a big chakram, probably like, some 5 feet by 5 feet kind of chakram on the wall. It's called as a Tripad Vibhuti Narayana chakram. It's amazing. Like, I just got so stuck to it. I was just standing there trying to understand and analyze, and I've never seen that anywhere online. I could not find it anywhere else to even get a picture. Obviously, they won't let us stand there for that long. So we did have some influence. So I actually asked some, the Purohit Pujariji, some information, but I did not get a lot. My goal is to at some point understand it. So like that, there are secret vidyas for every Bhagavad Swarupam. Their goal ultimately is whatever is in Vedanta that says, that helps you understand Aham Brahmasmi. For people like us who are so much into materialism, if our Guru comes and says, Tattvamasi, you are Brahman, I could just, sit here and suddenly become a guru, and I can say, yeah, I am Bhagwan myself. And we have seen some of those kind of sadhus who have export, import businesses and blah, 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 by just being gurus. So no offense to any of them, but that's not what Aham Brahmasmi is. Aham Brahmasmi is understanding the difference between who I am, my real nature, versus the physical form that I currently have been born into, and what my role and what I need to do in this Janma. So I can get to a point in the background of knowing who I really am. I live the life of what's given to me, face all the scenarios, and still try to get rid of all my papas, try to do all my karmas correctly, get my karmic account cleansed, and then not have this birth and death cycle. So my goal would be moksha. So this is the kind of understanding. Many people have misunderstandings about Advaita Vedanta. There was one of this, Madhvacharya Parampara gurus, or some serious scholar. He was once arguing with me on, if you are into Dvaitam, then you would do your karmas and you offer it to Bhagavan and let Bhagavan distribute it to whoever he thinks deserves it. Whereas in Advaita philosophy, you do karmas and you say, I own everything. And then because I am Bhagavan, I am going to distribute. And because you're still selfish self, you will distribute only to yourself and only to your family. So there are many misunderstandings, unfortunately, and lots of commentary that happens on Advaita Vedanta. But Advaita Vedanta is very simple. You really understand what the real nature of yourself is, and in that background you continue to live the life, but you're a lot more blissful because you understand that certain things are not in my control and I'm not going to bother about them. I'm going to continue to do my duty in the most dharmic and sattvic way possible, and I will continue to deliver all the things that I need to deliver while I'm continuing to focus my sadhana and ingrain this Aham Brahmasmi mode into myself, get rid of all my karmas, and then get rid of this birth and death cycle. So this is kind of the crazy way to put the essence of Advaita Vedanta in a short form. So Sri Vidya helps us on how to do this. So Vedanta gives us what is it, and Sri Vidya, or any Vidya for that matter, not just Sri Vidya. So we've talked about Dasha Mahavidyas. So even in Devis, there are 10 Vidyas that are talked about, but there are millions and millions of Vidyas, I assume. So in those Dasha Mahavidyas, we are talking about Sri Vidya as one part, but Shodashi Vidya is a different one. Kamala Vidya, Bhuvaneshwari Vidya. There are many forms. Any of these Vidyas help us on how to, from a practical perspective, it's like applied science. What can I do today in order to get to that moksha that I'm aiming for? So that is what they're talking about. Atma Vidya, Mahavidya, Sri Vidya, Sri Sodashakshari Vidya. Moving to Trikuta. So 588, three-peaked. So this can be the 3 peaks that we talked about in the Sumer Madhya Shringasta Nama, where there is the Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra peaks. And even when we were talking about the journey to Sri Chakra, I had a PowerPoint where I presented, like, what is Manidvipam like, and what kind of prastarams do you pass in order to get to the center of the Sri Chakram, to the Bhupuram. So even there are the Rudra lokas and the Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra lokas. So you can call that the Trikuta. Or Trikuta, we always said the Triputi or Trikuta means the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti avasthas. You can call that to the Bhuta, Bhavishyat and Vartamana kalas. You can call that the Jalandhara, Udhyana and Mula. What am I missing? Sorry. The Mula Bandham, Jalandhara Bandham, and Udhyana Bandham. So all of these, anything that is 3, including the knowledge knower and the known, all of these form into the word Trikuta. So, and also Trikuta means, in this context, we were just talking about Shodashi and all of those, the Vidyas. The Trikuta is the Vagbhava, Shaktikuta, and the 3 kutas of the Panchadashi mantra. We've discussed that early in the stages of Lalita Sahasram. So all of those constitute 3 kutas. So, and we did talk about the entire essence of any Vidya that we follow is to merge all of these 3 kutas, and where we get to the point of triangle. That is how the triangle is represented in the Sri Chakram. And from triangle, get to that Bindu, which is a state of oneness. So there is no Jiva, Jagat, and Parabrahman. There is only one thing, and that is the Atman, the consciousness. And getting to that stage is the Trikutam, or Trikutam to merger of the Trikutam. Then Kama Kotika is the 500. Oh, sorry, I just realized we're 3 minutes over our scheduled time. So we'll come back to 589 next week. Any thoughts, questions before we conclude this session?
This is a very deep subject, as I can see. Need to read. You need to hear this. I need to hear this over and over again and read further.
Yeah.
To understand fully.
I know. And sometimes I rush through it and that doesn't help. I appreciate that for sure.
That's okay. That's okay. At least you're covering the bases. But it will be really nice if you could hear it one more time. And of course, the recording is helping.
Yeah, for sure. I'm recording, so I'll just stop recording. So we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sarvam Sri Paradevatarpanastu. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you, Shriji.
Thank you, Shriji.